the Savage Curtain. Kind of borrows from other episodes of Star Trek. Well, it mainly one, and then adds in its own little tidbits here and there. Obviously, the recurring element of godlike beings returns yet again, but also ultimately ends up taking something from the plot of Arena, where Kirk had to fight the big lizard, So anyway, Kirk and crew are going to this planet, and there was some suspicious. There was life on it, but it seems to be nothing but a ball of molten lava and stuff. And they're like, oh, come on, there's nothing there. They scan it. They don't see anything. Then all of a sudden, something strange happens, and on the screen, some entity appears before them, and it's Honest Abe. Yes, Abraham Lincoln appears sitting in a chair, saying, "Hey, Kirk, it's me, Abraham Lincoln." And so it's blatantly obvious what this is, but I guess because Kirk is so taken, because it's revealed that one of Kirk's personal heroes was Abraham Lincoln, which should tell you. And they do talk about this being bones. It's like, come on, that's what this is. That he's obviously a facsimile of Lincoln, provided by some alien force. And all that he is of Lincoln is actually taken from Kirk's view of him. So it's not even really Abraham Lincoln. It's just what Kirk thinks Abraham Lincoln is or was and all that. So he comes on the ship, and they talk with him, and Kirk decides to put on full dress uniform ceremonies and all that sort of stuff, because he's the president of the United States and all that sort of stuff. And so, and they theorize about what this could mean, and Abraham Lincoln doesn't really know. He just knows he's supposed to be there. And then at one point, he says, well, you got to come with me to the planet. And they're saying, that's ridiculous. You can't go down there. It's toxic and all that sort of stuff. And then they discover there's a spot on the planet that has breathable atmosphere and everything. So obviously, once again, these aliens have created an area for them to go to. But, they're a little nervous about it because they say, well, this could be a trick or a trap, and they're making us think that it's there, and you're just going to kill us. And then, of course, Spock says, well, what's the point of killing? They could just do it now, And so, ultimately, they opt to go. Abraham Lincoln tells him, I don't know how or why, but I know that you will meet the greatest Vulcan who ever lived, Spock, all this sort of stuff. So, they go down, and, they're on this planet, and here comes Surak, the founder of the Vulcan philosophy and all that sort of stuff. And so Spock gets to meet his hero as well. And, hey, what's the point of all this? Well, this boulder suddenly starts to glow and turn into this talking lump of turd. It was Yarnak, I believe, with the Excalibur. And the deal is, they want to do what happened in Arena. They want Kirk, Spock, and Surak and Abraham Lincoln to take on these villains from the past. So Genghis Khan, who's the only real one there, Kahless, who I guess would be, to make this work, is that Kahless, who is the great legend of the Klingons, that this would have been Kirk's view of what a Klingon looks like. Because, he's still in the old 60s Klingon look and all that. So, and some other woman who looked like a cave woman, but she was like, I can't remember who they said she was. She would poison people or something. And, of course, Genghis Khan. And then Colonel Green, who was this guy from the 21st century who led a genocidal army or whatever. In the World War III of the 21st century. Yes. Well, maybe we'll get there. There's still time. So anyway, the problem here is, or the basic thing is, they want to see, can good who's better, good or evil? And they've already decided which is which. And but the thing is only Kirk and Spock are real. Everybody else is just material they made out of the rocks. and then they set them against each other. It would have been more interesting if there was a Klingon and a Romulan or something like that on the other side that were real, like they both were interested in this planet for some reason, and they came together, and there's a standoff in orbit and all that, and then they're going to settle the differences down below. But again, it just repeats what they did with Kirk and the Gorn, you know. So they had their battle and all this stuff, and Surak gets captured and killed, and then it turns out Kahless can imitate people's voices, trying to lure them in there. It doesn't really work because Spock says, "Well, Surak wouldn't cry out like that." And then Abraham Lincoln gets killed, and then it's just down to Kirk and Spock dealing with the other four. And well, of course they win. And well, a couple of they I think they killed two of them. The other two run away, and then so Yarnak says, "Okay, you won." and that's that. He says, "Well, I just wanted to know my stuff," and I guess now he does. Or well, I don't know, maybe. And so they go back and then have a little chuckle about, wow, I got to meet Abraham Lincoln. Wasn't he charming? Well, it wasn't really Abraham Lincoln. He didn't travel in time or nothing. It was just this fantasy image from your mind that they created. So it introduces another godlike powered alien. And later on in the DC comics, they got the license to do Star Trek comics during the 80s. And this was after Wrath of Khan, and they produced a story where Spock's dead, so Saavik sort of fills in for him in that series. And they did this story where there's this war breaks out between the Klingon Empire and the Federation, and Kirk's like, well, this is impossible because of the Organians, which is another godlike race who prevented the Klingons and the Federation going to war. They wouldn't allow it because of their godlike powers. So the fact that there was any kind of war going on, something was up. So he goes to Organia, and the whole planet is blacked out, and it's being held prisoner by some powerful force, and the Organians are like in a coma or whatever. I can't remember exactly how it went. And well, guess who did that? Well, yes, it was the Excalibans, because they wanted to see the fight on a grand scale. And that, which is a much better story over this, and it gets to the point where they actually have real forces going up against one of these as well. Which one's the best? And they force them to fight. And it doesn't quite end that way, of course. They free the Organians and all that sort of stuff. But of course, the godlike beings stopping war, going forward at the threat of war with the Klingons. Just isn't there as long as those guys exist. They still exist afterwards. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read it. If they opted to say, well, we got to let free will exist or some crap like that. I don't know. But anyway, it creates a bit of a problem there too. But it's a much better story, and it set the Organians against the Excalibans and all this sort of stuff. And which was interesting, and it makes use of the actual lore and all that. But in this initial story here, it's just repeating that plot, and there's not much else to it. There's, oh, look, it's Lincoln, but, Plus, the thing of it, I mean, it's not like it's totally out of possibility that Kirk would look, that Abraham Lincoln would be this historical figure and a hero of his. But, boy, it's a lot of centuries later. You'd think there would be some other figures that they could have just made up, But there again, it comes to the problem of, they're pitting real people against all these, fantasy images and stuff like that. So it really wouldn't. It's kind of a stupid experiment on the Excaliban's part. But anyway, unless that's just what they were telling them. The real story was just, they just wanted to see how Kirk and Spock would react, I guess you could, chalk it up to that. But, so, it's one of the weak. This is a pretty weak episode for Star Trek. But, it's got that cool cast and everything else in it. So, it's still fun to watch. But, But yeah, conceptually, it's just repeating old stuff they'd already treaded better, and that's about it. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.